Welcome in, folks, for a special Tuesday edition of What's Bruin. It is Chris and Gayle, and hopefully Kenny is in the comments counting how many times you want to smack me tonight.
You should get a slap for every person that's no longer on the Bruins in the intro.
Not yet. I know I have to work on that. It's just things have been way too hectic and busy. So, but you made me lose my train of thought. Anyway, yes, it's Tuesday night. We're doing this today because the Bruins play tomorrow, and then obviously Thanksgiving on Thursday. So hopefully we have a lot of you who are. I mean, there's one hockey game on tonight. Like, what the hell else are you going to watch? Come join us. So anyway, Gayle, how are you?
I'm living the dream.
And
by dream, I mean Freddy Krueger chasing me through the woods.
Hey, nightmares are dreams.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know where I want to start, but I don't know if Dom is watching just yet. So we'll wait for Dom for that. I'll let you pick where we start. I think you know where that's going.
Yeah, I do. Let's start. You know what? Let's go in reverse. Let's talk about the Fleet opener.
Okay. How was that? You were there in person, right?
I was there in person. I was up in the press box. Still fully credentialed for the PWHL. So it was definitely a great atmosphere. 5,166 in Lowell. So
a better points percentage than the Boston Bruins now, huh?
Yeah. They had a nice 2-0 shutout. Aaron Frankel, 25 saves. Goals by Susanna Tapani and Megan Keller, the new captain. I'm loving the new coach, Chris Spar. Yeah. Definitely a great atmosphere. And I got the Fleet hat.
That's for Kenny, right?
No, I have another one.
Oh, you have an extra one for him. Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, I didn't know if you ended up grabbing two or not. I know he was looking for one.
No, I did. It was definitely awesome to see the amount of Fleet merchandise, you know.
Yeah, they're really pumping that stuff out.
Yeah.
Not people, but PWHL.
People are buying it. People are buying it, though. The amount of jerseys, the Mueller jerseys, the Keller jerseys, the Frankel jerseys, obviously still some Knight jerseys, some regular PWHL Boston jerseys, not even the Fleet jerseys, you know, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats. It's nice to see that people are definitely supporting the women's league.
Yeah. And I mean, and a lot of the stuff is very reasonably priced. I think that's a huge part of it. I mean, I don't know what the jerseys are going for, but like, you know, just one of those like t-shirt jerseys, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking right now, an Aaron Frankel one's only $35.
Right.
If that's David Pastrnak, it's like $60.
Right.
So it's a time to get that stuff.
Right.
While it's still this inexpensive. So, but no, it was, you know, a great game from what I hear. I didn't watch enough of it, but I did notice, or at least I think I was told, that there was a goal called off.
There was. Megan Keller actually thought she scored her first goal in the second period. Haley Wynn, who is one of the Fleet's draft picks, she was pushed into the Montreal goaltender, and the goaltender was then out of position. They immediately called it off. They didn't give any reason why. It wasn't like one of those things where, you know, because Boston started celebrating and the ref's like, nope. But they didn't say why. You know what I mean? There was no challenge, no nothing. When you saw the replay, you could see that Wynn knocked her off out of the crease. Yeah. But it was like, I'd have to go and read the PWHL rulebook, because if it's the same as the NHL rulebook, then the opposing defender pushed the offensive player into their own goaltender. So I'm still not sure if they would have called that goaltender interference or whatnot, but it was called off, and she came back and came up big in the first 2 minutes of the third with the goal to give the Boston the 2-0 lead.
Well, they definitely are deserving of the first few minutes here. And then, yeah, I mean, the Bruins are coming back east from a
Yep.
road trip.
Yep.
Um, let's start with the road trip itself.
Okay.
When we know that Dom is here, then I'll address something that he mentioned.
Nope.
What have you thought of the road trip?
Obviously I like the way they played against the Kings the best,
Well, I mean, the W helps that, yeah.
but they also played a solid defensive game. It wasn't even because Anaheim giving up that goal late, that game could have easily have gone the other way.
That's a game that should have gone to overtime.
Right. It's a game that they should have at least taken a point out of. And since they didn't take the point out of it, and they only got the 2 points so far in LA, because then again, you go into, and I know San Jose and Boston had that pretty much the same record going into, in terms of the last 10 games, not the same record, but they had the same like 7-3-0 type record going into. So it's not like San Jose has been playing bad.
No, but they also ran into the league's hottest goaltender in Yaroslav Askarov, and as good as Boston was, he just was better.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen. I think a lot of people, especially here on the East, are still vastly underestimating the Ducks and the Sharks because they just don't see enough of them. And I get it. They're a 10 o'clock game. And even when the Bruins are out there, they still either fall asleep or try to catch the highlights. But these two young teams, they're really good. And I know how much you despise the coach of the Ducks, but that the way the team is playing, they are good.
So the other thing is too, is you talk about people just don't know. People, not all Bruins fans, but there's a good chunk of Bruins fans that are just Bruins fans. They're not
Right.
hockey fans. They're just Bruins fans. So they have no idea where anyone is in the Western Conference. Like
Right.
they have no idea who's good, who's bad. All they know is St. Louis is sucking, and that's only because they're keeping an eye on Jim Montgomery. And then the other thing is, like, people don't realize that the Bruins are the only team to hand the Colorado Avalanche a regulation loss.
Yeah, they still are the only team
Yeah.
to do that. So like,
but if you're not paying attention to what Colorado's doing, you may not know that, you know?
yeah, no, for sure. And I mean,
There's a lot of people that don't know what the teams are outside the division. They know who the teams are, but they don't know who's leading the Metropolitan. You know what I mean? Like
right?
they
No,
don't
for
know,
sure.
so I mean that's the that's the whole. Who's laughing?
In Kanu 4961 throws up a couple laughing emojis, but she's right though. There are a lot of people. I don't know what they're laughing at, but you're right. There are a lot of people who they know the stars within their division. And like some of the other big names, like they might know who Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar are, but they're not necessarily going to know, Leo Carlson as much as good as he has been. Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, like they're
They
not going
may
to
know
know
them
these
because
younger guys.
they may know them because they're from BC.
They might know the names, but they don't necessarily know. I mean, Macklin Celebrini is legitimately putting himself in the MVP conversation.
Has he got 15 games in a row?
Something like that. He says, "Where are these Bruins fans? They are out there. Like
There's
they
plenty
really
out
are."
there.
On sports talk radio, when someone calls, "I've been watching the Bruins for 40 years," it's usually that person.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is too is that I find it funny. I saw on social media, I don't remember what platform. I don't know what platform, but there was someone that said hockey was better when people didn't like multiple teams, didn't like multiple players. And I'm like, what does it matter?
Well,
Like,
also the game itself is just better. Like whether
Well,
you like
in
one
this
team or
day
you follow all 32. The game
right,
itself
in
is
this
just
day
better.
and age, you can watch more hockey than you could 40 years ago because of all the streaming services, because of all the there's just a ton of, and you know what, in Connecticut, I would say, is the person. Uh,
Probably.
you can
Seems
say what you want, but there's plenty of Bruins fans out there that know nothing about the other teams.
and just like fans of other teams, there are plenty of Leafs fans that don't follow anybody but the Leafs. There are plenty of Panthers fans. Like
Right.
every team has that
They'll know
subset.
their rivals, but they may not know, like, there are Colorado fans that I guarantee you that have no idea what's going on in Buffalo or Ottawa or, so.
Right. And I will disagree with one thing that Bob says here. He says that Celebrini's legit kid's going to be a superstar. The kid is already a superstar. All right. He is
Yeah.
already there.
Yeah.
He is leading this team.
Right. But he's not a legitimate superstar yet. He's got to be able to consistently do it.
Okay. So what has he not done to put himself
hold
in
on.
that category?
But you want to say 20 games into the season, that certain teams aren't this, certain teams aren't that. Give him a couple more seasons before you call him, because look at, just before you call, I mean, he's going to be 100% going to be a superstar.
Kid has played in 93 NHL games. He has 97 points. Now, can he change his status? Can it go down? Yes, but currently, right now in the league today, he is one of the league's best players. He is currently a superstar.
I'll disagree.
That's fine. You gonna smack me on that one?
No, that doesn't deserve.
He is on a path where he will only be better in 2 years. That's the thing.
But let him get those 2 years.
Oh, I want to get him there.
Because you know what? We've seen numerous players. God forbid, I don't wish him an injury because I want to see him succeed. But if he has any type of injury, that he may come back, but he may not be the same type of player. You know what I mean? So many things can happen. Like David Pastrnak is a legit superstar. Sidney Crosby is a legitimate superstar.
You're talking guys who are 10, 15 years into their career, though. That's the thing.
Right, but he's only 93 games into his career. He's not a superstar yet.
It's not his fault he's only 19.
It's not. But so don't label him a superstar yet. He's going to become a superstar. He's just not quite there yet.
So
because I can
Celebrini is already better than Jack Hughes. I'll tell you that right now.
But
he's already better than Jack Hughes.
All I'm saying, Chris, is that after 93 games, the kid still has more to prove. He's got to be consistent, and he's got to do it. He's got to do it across all the games, not just in snippets. So let's just see.
Hold on. Joe says, so wait until he doesn't get injured. Get her off the show. McDavid was a superstar 2 weeks into his career. No, we're not talking, Joe. We're not talking about 2 weeks into his career. We have a decent NHL sample size of 93 games. I'm willing to say where he's at right now. Like, obviously, I'm not saying where he's at right now. If he, people have that argument of, well, is he a Hall of Famer if his career ended today? Well, no, he had a 93 game career. That's a question to have about Nikita Kucherov or, a few of those other names that you mentioned, like David Pastrnak, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl.
I'll even
not 93 games in.
You want to take comparisons? Everyone expected Connor Bedard to already be a superstar, and he's not.
Not yet. He is.
So you want to talk comparisons? Everyone expected him to be what Connor McDavid is 2 weeks into his career, right?
That's what he was billed as. Absolutely.
Right. So that's all I'm saying. Let's not put the same pressure on Celebrini yet. Let him get there before it's actually anointed the next superstar.
I got to say that you mentioned Bedard. Did you see the clip of him with the autograph seeker?
Yeah, I commented on that. I think it's bullshit. Not
I mean,
him, the autograph seeker.
I feel like he handled it as best as he could. I mean, you also got to remember the kid's 20 years old,
I don't
and
care.
this is an adult chasing him down, looking for an autograph, and all this guy does is get autographs.
Right.
So, like, I don't feel bad for the guy. That is the guy that you tell to buzz off.
Mm-hmm.
And I can almost guarantee you, if it was a 10-year-old kid, he stops. He takes a picture with the kid. Like, he clearly recognized this guy as someone who he has signed stuff for before.
Mm-hmm.
No issues with how it was, with how he handled it.
Right.
It's just those people are out there, and yeah. Anyway, where else were we going with that?
I don't know. Can we just move on?
Yeah. Where do you want to move on to?
So we were talking. Oh, so I saw a take. You and I were talking about this off air before we went on live.
Can we file this under those fans that only pay attention to one team?
So I saw a take that someone said that Nikita Zadorov needs to be benched for a few games because the amount of penalties he's taking.
No. That is literally my only response, is just no. And if they want to come, if that person wants to come back with, oh, you can have your opinion, yeah, so can you, and yours could be wrong. You don't bench your best defenseman. He's been your best defenseman all season. Putting him on the ninth floor would be the dumbest thing you could possibly do.
Yes, he has taken a lot of penalties. He leads not only the Bruins, but the league in penalties. And the Bruins have taken a ton of penalties.
Oh, no, the new league leader in penalties is now Mikko Rantanen.
Mikko Rantanen, that's right.
Yeah, after his nice little double back-to-back game misconducts there.
So the other thing is, too, is that the Bruins have the most 5-on-3s, meaning they're shorthanded 2 men. They had 7. They lead the league with 7.
Yeah, that's not good.
But they have successfully killed off all 7.
That is the good
Their
part.
penalty kill has been 100% better this year than it was last year. And they're doing it without Charlie McAvoy. And for a portion of it, they were doing it without Elias Lindholm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they were doing it without Elias Lindholm.
And you know who's been leading that? Nikita Zadorov.
I was going to say, I think it's number 91.
I'm checking to see shorthanded time on ice per game. The Bruins have 6.5 minutes. Ouch. Let me see if I can figure out who the leading, let's see, penalty kill shorthanded per 60. Where is he at? He is averaging. He is behind Sean Corrali, Hampus Lindholm, and Elias Lindholm.
He's behind, well, because he's in the box.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. He averages the most shorthanded time on ice per game. Okay. 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. Shorthanded time on ice.
Right.
So he has already said, in Con, he has already said he will not go by Big Z or Big Z Jr. That is Chara, 100%.
Yep.
So, yeah, no, you don't bench him. What did you think of the new lineups that we're seeing on this trip?
And the lineups are even changed today in practice.
I know.
So, I'm not opposed to, where, they're scoring. Obviously, they scored 3 against Anaheim.
No. Geeky is scoring. They've scored 6 goals on this road trip, and 5 of them have been from Geeky.
Right. No, but you're not scoring those without he's not scoring those without Pastrnak, without, with his normal whatever. But they're scoring goals. It's not like the offense is anemic. And yes, it is Morgan Geeky that's carrying the team right now. But I'd rather it be Morgan Geeky than Sean Corrali.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean, right?
100%.
So
I hate to say it, but I'd rather be Morgan Geeky over Fraser Minton.
right.
Like, if
So I'm not
Minton's your leading
opposed.
scorer, that's a
So
problem.
all Sturm has really changed is the top two lines.
That's until today when he threw Steves on the fourth line. Blumel goes back in. You've removed a little bit of the grit and grind with Tufty and VL coming
Right.
off.
But I'm talking like in terms of what he's looking for offensively.
Oh yeah.
He's only really changed. Elias Lindholm came back. He took his spot on the top line. He moved right up to that top line. But he also at one point went with the check line, of Zaka, Pasnak, and Blumel. So I mean, there's a lot going on that without the team, with Arvidsson out, with all these injuries, because that was one of the things that I said today. Right now they're holding that final spot, but with all the injuries that they've had, because first they had Hampus Lindholm out, then Jordan Harris got hurt, then McAvoy was out, then McAvoy came, then Hampus Lindholm came back. Elias Lindholm goes down, and then who else got hurt? Casey Middlestat got hurt. Victor Arvidsson got hurt. So there's like all these moving parts, and they were treading water. You know what I mean? And they were doing fairly well treading water. And they're not below 500. They're still holding on to that playoff spot. The goaltending has been solid enough. They just haven't been able to steal that game that you need them to steal. Like we talked about, that Anaheim game should have gone to at least overtime.
Yep. That one is one where that's a point that you sit there and look at and go, you really, really wish you could have had that one.
Right.
And they can still redeem this road trip by picking up a win on Long Island. If they can take those points, and they are Bettman 500 on this trip, because at the end of the day, it's not a matter of wins and losses. It's a matter of points accumulated.
Right.
So you can go Bettman 500 on this trip as long as you accumulate at least 4 points.
Yeah.
And they still have a chance to do that. So I'm not ready to wallow and say it was an utter failure, because they still have that opportunity. I'll be a little bit worried if they lose in Long Island, but I want to see how they play.
Yes and no. I'm more concerned about the back-to-backs against New York and Detroit than I am against the Islanders tomorrow night. Because then you have the Islanders tomorrow night, then you have the holiday.
Yep.
Right? Then they come back for a matinee on the day after Thanksgiving, and then they host Detroit on Saturday.
Yeah, and those are going, like, New York, as bad as they've been, they are good on the road.
Yeah.
And so since you play them at home, that's why that game worries me. And when I say worry, I mean, it's going to be a good test to see, especially coming out of the Thanksgiving day off, break that they get. And then Detroit's playing really well. So, you have, like you said, you have back-to-backs. Luckily, you're home for both of them, so you don't have to worry about travel.
Right.
But it's less than 24 hours between games.
And the good news is they came back. They're already in New York and Long Island. They're already there for the game tomorrow. It's a short plane ride or a bus ride home. I'm sure they're going to fly. They're not going to take a bus, from New York to Boston, or to Hanscom, I should say. So, they're going to have that private jet from New York to Hanscom. It's going to be a short little plane ride. They're going to get home. They're going to recharge their batteries, and then they get to the Garden. They'll probably have an optional morning skate because it's a matinee. So they probably won't even have, they may not even have a skate at all. They may say, forget it, just because by the time
that optional morning skate might come on Saturday before the Detroit game.
Right. Well, yeah, because that's a 7:00 game. So they probably will have, I don't see Sturm having a full morning skate on back-to-backs like that.
Yeah, no, I don't see it. Real quick, Steve, what is the word on Arvidsson? When is his return? We don't have a return date on him or Middlestat just yet. I know, obviously, there's been we got Dom here. He asks, "Where's Kevin? Did he get slapped yet?" So we
No
have
one's getting
Dom.
slapped yet, although the person that said I shouldn't be on the show might get slapped.
Might deserve one, yeah. Although, yeah, I don't know where they were coming from on that. I mean that's a pretty weak take to try to make that claim. I will say that. Like there are just certain. We were talking about it before we came on here. There are certain takes that you hear where you sit there and go, "How do you have a job?" Like that's just the dumbest thing to ever say.
Right.
And that's just a pretty weak one to try and be like they don't deserve to be there. So, and I don't know where Kevin is, but have you heard anything new on Arvidsson? I know that's
I'm
when you kind
trying
of
to look. Give me a minute on that.
we know McAvoy's still a ways away. So, did you see the? I mean, I think everybody's seen the
So
picture.
he got put on injured reserve, dated back to the 15th. And it's not long term. It was just IR.
Yeah,
But I haven't heard anything since.
It looked like it was a groin injury for him though, if I remember correctly. I just yeah, they deemed it a lower body injury.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if he's skating yet. At least with Elias, we got a couple of those updates that he was skating, and we know
Well, but
McAvoy won't be skating for a bit.
he didn't travel with the team.
No.
So you're not gonna get updates of him skating because there's no one watching Warrior right now.
Right. None of those four are we going to get an update
Right.
until probably I would say maybe Saturday.
Right.
Because as we just talked about, they're probably not going to do a skate on Friday.
No, but Sturm will talk to the media before the game on Friday. He'll have a pregame press conference.
Yeah, he's good at those.
Yeah, we'll get the email out saying when it is.
And right now, Harris is the only one that I'm seeing on long-term injured reserve. So,
right.
They're still working through it as much as they can. But they know Harris is out until the end of December at least.
Right.
So, we'll see where that's at. McAvoy is going to be out for a while, but they can retroactively put him on LTIR if they have to. Right. So there's no worry there.
Right. And they only ended up putting him on IR to activate Lindholm. Yep. So they're working the books right now.
100%. No one will work those books better than Evan Gold. I am not worried about any of those roster transactions right now. It is interesting to see how they go about it. But they're not going to make a move until they absolutely have to. That's why these guys remain on regular IR, because if they don't have to put someone in LTIR, they're not going to.
Right.
It's that simple. We were talking about the lineup, though, and Blumel, Zacha, Pastrnak, they got put back together. Last week, we talked about what happens when Hustadinov, or when Elias Lindholm comes back. Where do you put Hustadinov? He was on a line with Lindholm and Geeky today. So, they are automatically retroactive. Okay. I didn't realize they were automatically retro, but that makes it easy. Thanks, Dom. Like you said, though, they have kept together the Jeannot, Minton, Kastelik line, and they've got no reason to break that one up.
No. They've been playing very well, and they've, and I almost feel bad for Minton because he's getting his opportunities. He's just not able to get that puck in the net. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think they'll come, though. He just seems to be the type of player, once he gets a couple and that confidence is back, he'll rake in a couple at a time. But honestly, he's playing the role they need him to play as the third line center.
Oh, he's playing phenomenal.
So I got no issues.
I'm extremely happy with him.
Honestly, I like the fact that they're not touching that line at all. You're also not messing with Minton and his game by leaving that line together. The other lines, they're all veteran guys. You're not, I mean, with the exception of Hustadinov, but he has shown he can play wing. He can play down the middle. He can play anywhere and still bring the same game. He's playing very much like a veteran.
Right.
And so, Don, we'll get to that. And so moving him and mixing him around your other 9 forwards isn't going to throw off his game. Not to say it will throw off Minton's game, but you are allowing him to solidify himself in his role. He doesn't have to worry about all the other noise that the lineup has to deal with because of the injuries on the front end. No, Dom, I know you agree. This team does not need John Beecher.
Yeah.
But Dom did point out on Twitter the big news.
Yes.
John Beecher won his first face-off of the season. He is so good it took him till this long to get that first face-off dub.
Yeah, he's taken 5 face-offs the entire season. He's lost 4.
But he's good at face-offs, right? Isn't that what they say? Isn't that why we needed him on this team? He's a penalty killer with speed and face-off wins.
I don't know.
Well, do you know where he sits on? Because Dom wanted the speed info. He's barely average on this team when it comes to forwards. When it comes to the speed this year, he definitely has lost a step. I know last week we talked a little bit about it and how last year he was a little bit faster, not by much, but a little bit. Do you want to know who's clocked the fastest time this year in skating for the Boston Bruins?
Nikita Zadorov.
Yep. 23.84 miles per hour was his top speed. Do you want to know who the slowest Bruin has been?
Who?
Michael Callahan.
Really?
He is topped out at 19.16.
Oh.
And believe it or not, the top 3 of the top 5 slowest skaters on this team are defensemen. Callahan, Steves, and Peak. Or not, sorry. Steves, Tufte, and Blumel are 3 of the top 4. Top 5. Has he taken 5 with Calgary? No, I don't think so. Even Calgary doesn't trust him to take face-offs. That's the thing. You get claimed off waivers, and even the team that claimed you off of waivers, which was the worst team in the division.
Oh,
no, he's taken 5 total.
He did. He took 5 with Calgary. He did take 5 with Calgary. So he's taken 8 face-offs, lost 7.
He's at a 20% clip. By the way, his career percentage is 52.9. So,
yeah. Can we talk about Ian's comment about the Leafs?
Oh, who else is enjoying the Leafs fans crying, mentioning that he is on SDPN almost every night and they are melting down.
Yeah. I love the fact that they have no one to blame because Marner's gone. So they've taken to blame Brandon Carlo. They're taking to they want to fire Craig Berube. They just hate everything about their lives right now.
I've heard this same take here that Leaf fans want to trade Austin Matthews, which honestly it should be on the table for them. I know it sounds crazy, but the mix they have just doesn't work.
No, they need to do something with William Nylander and let Boston have him. Because he's the only Leaf that I would want in a Bruins uniform.
He and Pasta would definitely be fun for Boston to watch, but there's no way Toronto would do that.
It was funny. Who was it? Someone said something about Beecher. Oh, there was a comment about the fact that there were a lot of teams that didn't know Beecher was going on waivers.
I find that very hard to believe.
And so Dreger said that the Bruins could have got something for Beecher had teams known. And I'm like, they were either expecting him to make it past waivers or they were willing to get, because what were they going to get for him?
The infamous player to be named later.
Right.
Future considerations. I'm sorry. Player to be named later is MLB.
Or like a 5th round draft pick. You know what I mean? What were they going to get for Beecher? Cash considerations, a player to be named later. Something along those lines. So it was either he was going to make it through waivers or someone that was very low, or top pick was going to pluck him. And that's exactly what happened.
he didn't get past the first team.
Right.
Basically, everybody looked at him and said, we don't hate the player, but we're not giving you anything for him.
Right.
And I don't blame him.
Right.
This is a center who can't win a faceoff. Like, and again, 53%. I'll round it up. I'll give him the extra 0.1. I don't care. 3 faceoffs out of 100 is not the reason you keep the guy.
No.
It's just not. If that's your deciding factor, you shouldn't be a GM.
No, and you know what? And I said it last year. I was hoping that we were going to get the Beecher that in his rookie season where he, came up, they sent him back down to Providence. And when him and Laurie got sent back down to Providence, then they came back up to finish out the season. And he played really well. But last year, he didn't have a good year at all. Well, none of the team did. Well, besides Pasternak and Geeky. And then, you find out about the hand injury. So you're like, all right, can he bounce back? Can he bounce back? When he made the team out of camp, I was hoping that we were going to see the Beecher that was just going to maybe take a little bit longer to get there. But we were going to see that Beecher that we saw in that first season, the latter half of that first season. And we never saw him. I also think
because if we look back and look back at all the different conversations that were had as they were finishing up camp, and a lot of players were hitting waivers, the Blumels and right. the Steves and those guys were going on to waivers, and a lot of people were surprised to see John Beecher still on the team. Right. John Beecher was someone who would have gotten snagged off the waiver wire back then simply because of what the potential could have been. And so John Beecher is the epitome of what Marco Sturm even said. I'm a new coach. I came in, completely reset the table for him, gave him a complete clean slate and said, go out and earn it. And I didn't feel like he did. Right. They gave him a quarter of the season and they said, that's it. We've seen enough.
And I got to give Marco Sturm props for that exact statement. New coach, new system, but now it's on the player. He was hoping, it's just the way it is. It's unfortunate that maybe he thought, hey, I'm already in the organization. They picked me. So I'm going to make, you know what I mean? And that's not really.
Bob has it right here though. Free agents that they signed played him out of the lineup, and you can't really keep him if he's not going to play. Like he's just not,
Well, not even just free agents that they signed, the players that they got for Brandon Carlo, the players that they got for Charlie Coyle. You know what I mean? Like
the player they got for Justin Brazeau.
Right. Like those players, like the Marat Husadinovs, the Fraser Mittens, those are the players that really outplayed him. Because had they not done what they did, because even Husadinov, he made the roster out of camp, but he was a healthy scratch. So it's not like he's played all 23 games, 24 games, whatever. He was a healthy scratch and he bounced back from it. Casey Middlestat was a healthy scratch. He bounced back from it. Mason Laurie was a healthy scratch. He bounced back from it. John Beecher was the only one that seemed to take it personally.
Yeah. He really was the one that never really seemed to get on that bus.
No. So, I was trying, and I wish my, I've been showing you like different logos and stuff like that. So you could see that I can do some things, but I was trying so hard to get a bus that I could figure out how to get Marco Sturm, kicking him off. So I'm still kind of playing with it.
Did he get kicked off the bus, or did he actually just decide this isn't the right bus for me and walked away?
At the end, he got kicked off.
At the end, he got kicked off.
At the end, he's like running alongside, and he's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, Dom says, I'm pissed they didn't get a 7th for Beecher so they could draft another Christian Konstantinsky.
No, and Dom, I agree with you. Teams don't tell other teams who they're putting on waivers. You know what
Right.
I mean? And I think part of it, but in reality, they kind of almost did when he got pulled off of practice. You know what I mean? Like, so they kind of may not have said they were putting him on waivers, but the signs were there. The signs were there. And if
Yeah.
someone wanted him, they could have picked up the phone and called Sweeney and said,
We'll
before
give you
you put him
something
on
for him.
waivers. But if they know they're going to get him for free,
Well, that's just it. Like, you know, the GMs have enough conversations where I guarantee you a handful of them went, hey, what's going on with this Beecher situation? And even if Don was completely mum about it and just said, you know, I gotta reconnect with Marco about it and see what's going on. I don't know, whatever. And then one day they were just like, all right, let's waive him. Like, if you're that interested to bring up that player, you're going to sit there and say, hey, I noticed that, you know, you keep scratching him. Like, we're interested in him. If you decide to move on from him before you put him on waivers, call me.
right,
No one said that.
right.
Clearly, anyone who was interested said, hey, keep an eye on the waiver wire. If this Beecher kid hits the waiver wire, we're putting a claim in for him.
And I'm sure if he could have got through waivers, Mougenel would have played him in Providence and tried to find his game. It's not like he would have been a healthy scratch in Providence.
He's
They
still
would have
trying to bleed
tried.
the stone of Fabian Lysell.
Right. You know what I mean? Like they would have tried to help him find his game backs.
Bob says the GM's not follow Elliot Friedman on X. He announces every player he gets waived and whether or not they clear or get claimed the following day. You know, I'm sure Elliot Friedman is an information passer more than people want to give him credit for, or at least fans want to give him credit for. So but like you said, if you just watched the way the Bruins were treating the player, it was bound to happen. You know, it was going to happen because this and this goes back to the lineups and the changes that we're seeing. They're in a stage right now where they're trying to figure out who they look to keep. Who is the foundation? They pretty much already have the foundation now. And now it's who are the ancillary pieces that will fill in around that foundation and who needs to be replaced. Beecher needed to be replaced. Period. That's that, you know, and now they're trying different combinations to see what works. Like, you know, who's Nadinov? Who can he play with? Just because you might not keep him as your top center long term, knowing that he can play between Geeky and Pastrnak, like that fact alone could earn him a longer term contract with the Bruins, just knowing that he is a good fill-in in that spot if they need him. Because that's how you build depth. Guys who can do multiple things in multiple areas. And right now, like everybody says, play the kids. Look what they're doing with Matej Blumel right now. Right. They are trying to put him in any position he can succeed in, and it is up to him to produce. Mm-hmm. We did not see it in California. He did not have a strong showing. If he plays with Zacha and Pastrnak, where he should feel the most comfortable, if he still doesn't do it, what the hell else are you going to expect? He's a great AHL player. Like, it is what it is. So they're giving kids an opportunity to step in. Nadinov has done it.
Those aren't the kids they want.
I know.
It's not Lysell. It's not Mark. It's not Patra. Those are the kids. You know what I mean? Like they're very picky and choosy of which players they want to see have the opportunity. They don't want players to get the opportunity because they earned it. They just want their players to get the opportunity because they want them in the NHL.
And what they're not doing is watching those players in Providence to see why they're not getting the call-ups. Mm-hmm. So Ian X actually asked a really good question here. Who do you think is on the Bruins' radar at the deadline or in the offseason? I think it's this is going to sound very cop-out, but I think it's a very fluid situation for them because they are going through that process of figuring out what do we need long-term, who fits long-term. They're going through that.
Well, not only that, But you also have to keep in mind that someone that may be on their radar it may be because they have to wait and see what that team is at. Is that team going to be a seller? Is that team going to be, you know what I mean, at the deadline? And as far as the offseason, I'm sure because Neely said it at the preseason presser, they had players on their list and it didn't work out for whatever reason. We don't know. Mitch Marner could have been on their list as a free agent, but because Toronto signed him and traded him in one clean swoop so that they could get that deal, you know, they have that deal with Vegas, that could have been one player that they had to take off the list.
Yeah, and free agency, we've already seen go from an amazing free agency class to a good free agency class because everyone is re-signing. Now, does that mean these players are going to stay with their teams? Not necessarily, but players are signing for that 8th year right now. Right. You know, right now your best free agents that are going to hit UFA next year are going to be Evgeny Malkin. And if he has a strong season, I bet you he signs a 1-year deal to stay in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
they're not anxious to get rid of him.
Wait, hold on. Play with Sidney Crosby, or who you played with your whole entire career. I mean, some players do have loyalty.
Well, not only that, but like it's just he's already going to be 40 years old. Right. Why is he going to change now? He's going from
but it could be another situation like Brad Marchand. Maybe Pittsburgh says we can't afford you. I know because he could be like Marchand that wants 6 years at a certain dollar amount.
Could be.
And Pittsburgh says not at your age, not at that dollar amount.
Could be. We'll see. Obviously, if that's the case, that changes things a little bit. But
right. I mean, if he says I want 2 years,
would you commit to this Pittsburgh team for a long term though?
No,
if you're Malkin?
Especially at 40 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, but why wouldn't you want to end your career there?
Right. A 2-year contract would pretty much suffice.
You know, it's funny because you say, would you want to commit to this Pittsburgh team? But this Pittsburgh team isn't necessarily horrible right now.
It's not horrible right now, but again, if you have a solid season this year and you are looking to re-up, I don't see him going longer than 2 years.
Right. Well, but the thing is that again, this is another team that everyone said complete rebuild.
Yep.
And they're 1 point out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Because again, you have Sidney Crosby.
That's
a huge factor right there when you have a Sidney Crosby. You know,
they have some young players who are really coming along too, and
right.
Artur Sheilofs has been really solid for him in goal. They just got Bloomquist healthy again down in the minors, so he's really developing for them pretty well. Jari has not had a horrible season, but he's still shaky there.
And Justin Brazeau is 12 points in 12 games.
Yeah, he's been hurt though. So
I'm just saying,
I know that's how their season is going. Justin Brazeau is a point per game player for him.
Right. And
they've got a horseshoe up their ass.
But you know what? When he got injured was when they started losing games.
Yeah,
they were at the top of their division. And then so I wouldn't, sometimes it's just change of scenery. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah. Ian has a name here. He says, I might be alone on this, but I wonder about Panarin. I wonder about the Rangers in general, but they're not out of it. So I don't see them changing much until they found a direction. And I have a hard time with Panarin, with the fact that he makes 11.6. Like, how are you going to fit him on the roster, even if you got him in as a rental? It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Hold on, I just spilled soda all over my laptop.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely don't want that to get in the keys and everything. But no, other unrestricted free agents, Nick Schmaltz, Alex Ovechkin, John Carlson, Alex Tuck. Like, it's a good class. Rasmus Anderson, someone asked about. Yeah, and as Bob says, I will admit, based on their roster, I thought Pittsburgh was purposely tanking for McKenna. Like I said, they've had a lot of things go their way this year. They've got a lot of luck, but they're also not as bad as, like you said, the roster seems like it would entail. We still hear you. Don't worry.
All right.
Dom says, if I were the Rangers, I would try to figure out a way to play my home games on Long Island. I mean, they're playing better on the road, so that might be worth it for them. But no, I think to Ian's question about the deadline, the offseason, the number one thing this team needs is another solid right shot defenseman. And that could not be more obvious with the loss of McAvoy. You have very little depth on that right side, and you have to address it. Like, you're getting through right now, but you're also, 3-9 without Hampus Lindholm or Charlie McAvoy in the lineup. Does that sound right? Nope. I think we got muted by her, either on purpose or on accident, but she's cleaning up that soda. Hopefully it's not destroying the computer. Let's see. I'm trying to look through and see what other names might be available. But do we have you back?
I think so.
All right. Hopefully no crisis on the computer.
No, I hope not, because it's a brand new MacBook.
Oh boy.
Well, when I say brand new, less than a year old. So I'm like,
Ian adds, Tage Thompson would look good in a Bruins jersey. The thing with Tage Thompson,
the thing is, I think it's a little too early to talk about deadline because, yeah, we're a quarter of the way into the season, but we're not even close to figuring out. Like right now, yeah, the Bruins are holding on to a wild card spot, but a week ago they were in first place.
Right. I don't think Boston's going to make a move before the deadline that commits them to a certain way, unless it's a move like a Rasmus Anderson, who they are able to sign an extension with.
Right.
And, like they did with Hampus Lindholm. Like, that's the kind of move I think they're looking to make. And the biggest problem with that kind of move is you don't know exactly everyone who's out there. Tyler says if Vancouver goes full rebuild, would Philip Hronek be of interest? And what I would say to that is any right shot defenseman who is in the prime of their career is probably going to be and should be of interest. It's just a matter of what's it going to cost you to get them.
Right.
Bob adds, if they fall out of playoff contention, they definitely have pieces they could sell off. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they'll do a full fire sale like they did last year.
No, I don't think so.
They definitely will sell off some to give them more relief with the cap and whatnot. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the season that Middlestat and Arvidsson have had allows you to have the discussions of moving them if things go that route for you.
Right.
Ian says, I would rather Uyghur over Anderson, which, I mean, either one. Again, the other counterpoint to anybody, any name that you throw out there, they should have a conversation about. It's just a matter of what is the cost going to be. And Dom has a good point. I'm looking to right after the Olympics when all the GMs will be under one roof. That's probably when a lot of stuff will get finalized, and we'll see a lot of trades in that time coming out of the Olympic break.
Well, and there's not that much time between the Olympic break and the trade deadline too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And like I said, any name that you throw out there, especially if they're a right shot D, I mean, I don't know what other position you would sit there and say they really, really have to prioritize. Is there anyone that you would sit there and, you know, I mean, we've had in the years, you got to go out and get a right winger for David Krejci, but like, there's really no major hole in the forward group that I can really say is glaring as much as that right shot D.
No, I mean, for me, I wouldn't be opposed to moving Corpusalo, getting another, you know, like a different backup. Like, you know, when Tuca was the main goaltender, there was a rotating cast of backups.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was Halak, there was God, I'm drawing blanks.
There was like Chad Johnson, Harlock, Anton Hudobin.
Who don't, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be opposed to moving on from like a Corpusalo and bringing in a backup like that, where you know you're moving forward with Swayman. Swayman's gonna be your, you know, 40 plus games. So, you know, and you get Corpy to a team that he's gonna get his 35, 40 games and not 29, 30 games. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be the number one goaltender. And then you bring in another, you know, a different goaltender. And then you also maybe get a defensive prospect or someone that's just on the cusp that could, you know what I mean? Or, you know, someone that can fill Sean Corrali's role because he only signed a 1-year deal. You know
I thought
what
he
I
was
mean?
on 2. I thought he was on a
2?
2-year.
Was it 2?
I don't know. Now you got to make me go check. I thought it was a 2. I thought that most of those guys were on multi-year deals, and that's why a lot of people were so pissed off about them. But Dom says, I guarantee Rasmus Anderson would not re-sign with Boston, which is that's the major concern. Is I'm not shelling out. I think I saw someone who said Mason Lohrei, Matthew Poitras, and a first for Quinn Hughes, and I'm like, I don't think they're going to even move Quinn Hughes until a team can talk to him about an extension, because until you can sign him to an extension, why are you going to give up whatever it takes to get him if you're only going to get him for 2 years and he's out?
Right.
Or for a year and a half and he's out. So, you know, that's the thing. Let's see. Tyler says Uyghur is tough, 31, signed till he's 37. Numbers not horrible. No, I like Mackenzie Uyghur. I just don't know if they'll make him available and at what cost. Ian adds Buffalo has a lot of goalies, but they won't want a goalie back, so this would involve a third team. Well,
and that's
Buffalo
might even. But that's not out of the realm of a deal. Like, we've seen that numerous times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're a little bit flush right now. Colton Ellis is really coming on for him. He might be a late bloomer. We'll see. He's playing the position well. And then they got Devin Levi. Devin Levi is starting to make rumblings down in Rochester that, you know, he's another one similar to Mintyukov out in Anaheim who might start to talk about wanting to get out.
Devin Levi, I mean, he's a Northeastern boy.
So, I mean, I wouldn't hate that combination of Swayman and Levi, but, you know, it's also a lot of other teams. Like, I know we saw Colorado last year swap out both goaltenders. They swapped out and they got Wedgwood and Blackwood.
Right.
Teams just don't do that frequently.
No.
Not in the middle of the season. And, oh, by the way, it took them until now to get to the quality of goaltending that those two are capable of to complement each other. So if a team's going to overhaul their net like that, they're not going to expect instant results. Right. So, like, Korpisalo seems like the type of player that, and I'm not saying they would do it, I think they're all set in the position, but a team like Chicago would do. They would bring in a veteran to back up a guy like Spencer Knight to take 30 to 38 starts off of Spencer Knight's plate. Again, I think Chicago's all set there. Right. I know a lot of people are going to try and throw out the Oilers. They just don't have the cap space right now to maneuver around in goaltending.
Man, people really hate Skinner right now.
I know. Oh, And the thing is he's really not the entirety of their problems.
No.
Like, I don't think he's necessarily good enough, like, to get him over the hump, but he has gotten them there twice.
Right. And that's
in a
the
row.
thing. And that's why Edmonton is having a hard time moving on from him, because he has gotten them there.
Right.
And you can't say it's his fault that they didn't beat Florida.
Right, because wasn't Game 7 in the first year they were there like a 1-goal game? If I remember correctly, wasn't it 2-1?
Yeah.
And like, if Florida's going to shut down the best 2 goal scorers in the league, or arguably 2 of the top 5,
right,
and win the game 2-1, how the hell are you going to blame the goaltender for that?
Well, because that's the easy way out. You always blame the goaltender. Just like when the Bruins lost 4-3 to Anaheim, it was all Jeremy Swayman's fault.
Right, it was entirely his fault. Bob has a good question. Long term, do you envision the Bees playing both Hagens and Poitras at center? Skill-wise, I like it. Size-wise, I don't see it happening. My answer to that is both James Hagens and Matthew Poitras won't be on this team at the same time. I don't think so. You've got a lot down the middle already, and anyone who can play down the middle has a lot of value on the trade market at some point, and this team is going to have other holes they need to fill. So it is only going to make sense at some point that one of them gets moved on.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's going to be Poitras over Hagens. Because
I would think so.
If Poitras can't find his way into the NHL lineup when they're ready for that move, it's not going to be Hagens, because we haven't seen Hagens ceiling yet. Not that we've seen Poitras ceiling yet, but there's a reason why he's still down in Providence.
Right. And also, Poitras can still get you a piece back. Like, obviously, like I said, we don't have everyone envisioned here. I really don't think that Victor Arvidsson is going to be their long-term solution on the second line right wing. And if you can include Matthew Poitras in a package to get you a player like a Jordan Kyrou who has term on his deal, then you consider that kind of move. But again,
right.
Yes, we've heard things about Kyrou. We've heard things about, certain players and that sort of thing. I mean, I think everybody was shocked this week when it was Andrei Svechnikov's name who came out.
Right.
I'd give up Matthew Poitras for Andrei Svechnikov. I'd put a deal together for that. Like, now, is Carolina going to do that deal? I don't know if they'd want to deal him to a conference rival. But, I mean, at the same time, if I'm Boston, I'm calling. You got to figure out what these costs are. Ian says Canadian team fans are so toxic to the players on their teams.
They so are. I mean, no one hates Canadian teams more than Canadians fans, and they almost hate Leafs fans are the worst, and they hate their players more than Boston fans hate their goalies.
Yeah, that's saying something too. Well, everyone loves, the reason why is there's a little imbalance because everyone loves either the second or third string goaltender in Boston.
Right.
It's one or the other. So there's a little bit of love for the position. It's just never the right guy. So, no, I understand why people want to talk about the trade deadline, but it's a very simple approach. Listen and talk in on everyone.
Right.
That doesn't mean you pull every trigger.
I think if the Bruins were in Nashville's predicament, then they're selling, because even if they made a shift, they're not climbing out of it. You know what I mean?
Right. Like,
but
Boston's still competitive.
Boston's still competitive. They're still, I think you're going to have a better understanding going into the Olympic break where you are. And that's where you're going to take stock of what you're going to do.
And there's also teams out there that are going to make trades to get better in the long term. So a team that everybody should be watching out for is Vegas. They are cap strapped and they have to move money out to move anybody in. So like Thomas Hertl could become available. Zach Whitecloud could become available. I mean, I don't think they would put Pavel Dorofeyev on the trade block, but he could be the one that they end up making available. Like, depends on what move they're trying to make that they think is going to make them better. I mean, they could move on from Mark Stone. They traded Marc-Andre Fleury. They could move on from their captain, Mark Stone.
Right. I doubt it, but they could.
I don't think so, but it's something like, would you really put it past Vegas to make that move?
I mean, but no one thought the Bruins were going to move on from Marchand. So, I mean, especially where they have Marner and Eichel now, you know what I mean?
Right.
And they have them for a long period of time too. It's not like a year. They have them for an extended period of time.
I'm sure Vancouver's still having conversations about Elias Pettersson and moves about that. Obviously the Leafs, they've got their own shit to deal with. But they've got plenty of guys who could become available. You know, I guarantee you there are teams that are looking at Toronto going, if they make Brandon Carlo available, we're in on him, because he's the type of right shot defenseman that you could use. Like, if you're Vegas, you're trying to make a playoff push, you're trying to be competitive every single season. Like, that's the kind of guy that you want to add to your depth, and his contract is good that they could do it. That's the other thing is now I know in all of this is shrouded no movement clauses, no trade clauses, and all that stuff. But, you know, if you go to a player and say, we want you to waive it, chances are they'll waive it. It's just not necessarily where you're going to want them to go.
Allmark didn't.
I know I'm saying not necessarily where you want to send them. That's the thing. So let's see. Reason Neo says Bruins making the playoffs this year if everyone is healthy. I'm a yes on that.
I've been saying it since day one.
Let's see. Ian says, I don't know if Toronto fans would know how to behave if they were really good. They've been really good. That's the thing. They just haven't been able to win past the first round other than one time.
No, and they blame the playoff format because if it was 1 through 8. And I'm like, even if it was 1 through 8, they're still not getting through the second round.
Right. Dom says, as Neil Diamond once said, coming to America. Don't forget to tell people Vlasic Bonar is coming to the NCAA next season. The Bruins have a pipeline that Dom and I have said for years. I know you've heard us say it. It's completely underrated. And people are just starting to realize what some of these guys are capable of doing. And I know a lot of that is thanks to James Higgins. Do you remember what everyone was saying last year about Dean Letourneau, though?
Yeah. Yes, he sucked. He's not good. He's
draft bust, waste of a pick.
They don't know how to draft. Well, yeah, everything.
Now he's the second coming of, you know, of an elite center.
Shh. Stop being logical.
Well, you know, it's almost like patience is needed when players are
like off the top of your head, glossy or matte?
For what?
Just glossy or matte?
Probably matte.
Okay. I
don't know what it's for. It really depends because, like, the shine, for instance, for those Vegas helmets.
Oh no, it's for the cheap wave on the mirrors.
Ah, okay. I was like, what are we deciding here for?
New Jeep, I need new hands.
There you go. That was just completely out of left field. You just
that's because she just messaged me and she's like, do you want glossy or matte? And I'm like, crap, I hadn't thought about that. Well, you got to remember, for the past 5 years, I had Bruins hands. My Jeep Wave was like this with the B symbol, but they were white because I had a white Jeep.
There you go.
Well, now I have a purple Jeep. I'm not putting Bruins black and gold on a purple Jeep. It just doesn't go.
No. It doesn't. Reasonio is getting us back on track. Am I crazy to think the Bruins can be top 3 in the Atlantic if they play their system right? Because when they do, they play some great hockey. Nothing like last year.
I've been saying that.
Hold on. I said I could see them fighting for between a wild card spot and the second spot in the division. That is what I have been saying all season long. The difference between what I'm saying and what you're saying is you're saying they will be between 1 and 2 and in competition for the division spot.
No, I said they would be top 3 in the division, and they would be competing for the top spot with the top 3. That they would not be a wild card team. They would be one of the 3 teams outside the wild card. That's what I've said. No, I hate rubber ducks. I'm not a duck person.
You're not one of those duck Jeeps?
People duck me, and then if I see a Jeep, I pay it forward. I don't keep them. I think they're tacky.
I don't get it. Oh. I don't know. I just don't get it. Like what is
So it started during COVID. There was a woman in Canada that she saw ducks, and she saw Jeeps and started leaving rubber ducks to make people smile. And that's how and now it's a whole thing.
Okay. As Dom says, if you want to know what the Bruins system under Sturm can look like, look at the London Knights. Which is true. The London Knights have become an elite program in the OHL, and they are very much worth watching as much as you can. Flow Hockey has the coverage, so definitely check it out. Yeah, they're phenomenal up there. So it can be a difficult system, but as you said, when they play it, they play great hockey. And we're still seeing a little bit of the adjustments in there and whatnot. But that's the other thing is you're not just going to go willy-nilly and be like, oh, this player's available, we must bring them in. You got to make sure that that's a player who can play this system.
Right.
Because if you commit to the wrong player for a long time, which is what people thought they did to Elias Lindholm, Ian says it makes sense now. A Canadian came up with it. Oh, that's good. Anyway, I don't even know where to go anymore. I think we're off the rails. I don't even know where the rails are anymore.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Rizano says this Hustadinov kid has top 6 potential easily. Where would you slot Murat Hustadinov long term?
I could see him definitely as your 2C or your 3C. Right now on this squad, the way they are with Elias Lindholm healthy, if he can get his game back and put him back with Pastrnak and Geeky to get that line going again, I would love to see Hustadinov with Zacha and Arvidsson when he comes back healthy. I'm not opposed to moving Middlestat. You know what I mean? I don't think that Hustadinov getting buried on the 4th line makes sense for me.
I think his ideal position in the long term is plugged in right on the left side of Fraser Mitten on that 3rd line. If you can get those 2 guys to be like you know how they do their pairs.
Yeah.
Geeky Pasta. If your 3rd pair can be based on Hustadinov and Minton, and then you have someone who can complement
them. And if you're talking long term, because I mean, how long do they have Arvidsson for?
Just this year.
Right. So I mean, and it's Zacha and Arvidsson that's driving that line. You know what I mean? So yeah, I could see Mitten and Hustadinov. That would be good speed. And they've played together in overtime and coming off. Good night, Dom.
Have a good night, Dom.
They've played together in overtime. They've played together coming off penalty kill and power play to where he has to mix up the lines until he can get everyone rolling. And they play well together, and they've built a lot of chemistry.
And the speed that those 2 can have
I'm just
together.
not, but if you're going to put the two of them together, I'm just not sure that who you put on the other side.
Right now, I would leave it as Tanner Jeannot or Michael Eyssimont, one of the two, just because they both also have speed that can keep up with them.
Mhm.
And, you know, again,
Kenny!
we got Kenny in the house right as soon as Dom left. That's a bummer, but oh well. Welcome aboard, Kenny. Thanks for jumping in. I mean, you could even put Kastelik on that wing too.
Right.
And then you have, I mean, that gives you a line with all three who are capable of taking faceoffs if they need it. There's a little bit of lefty, a little bit of righty. I think that's a good long-term option. He has also shown that by being in that third line role, I mean, think about how often we saw players like Rich Peverly or Chris Kelly move up into the top six because of an injury on a short-term basis. If he can provide that kind of flexibility for you, then that would be great. So Kenny says, because Dom still owes him a slap, he had to wait for Dom to leave before he could join.
Oh, Kenny, wait, hold on, Kenny.
Yeah, she's got something for you, Kenny.
And here's yours.
So is it, I'm going to say it's Rosenio, says the thing with Husnudinov, he passes too much to Pasta because he's scared to make a mistake, but when he has the puck, he makes zero mistakes, and he hunts pucks better than any center on this team. I mean, first and foremost, if you are on a line with David Pastrnak, you'd be deferring to him too.
Right.
I'm not going to fault the guy for having one of the top five goal scorers in the league taking shots.
Zaka did the same thing.
Exactly. And quite frankly, if he's on the line with Zaka, I would expect him to have a little tendency to defer to Pavel Zaka. So it's going to happen. Some of it is veteran. You're going to defer to the veteran on your line anyway. And that's why Pastrnak, when he first got bumped to that line, said, don't change your game. I will adjust to you. So it's not something that I worry too much about, but I feel like if he can develop that kind of chemistry with Fraser Minten when they're both this young, that pairing can push each other a lot more because they're both willing to shoot, they're both willing to pass. And then if you add someone who can complement them, whether that be Jeannot or Eyssimont. I mean, obviously, long-term, there's a little debate there. I mean, long-term, you could be looking at an Andre Gasso or Chris Pelosi or someone like that in that right-wing position, but that's something that you figure out.
Right.
Kenny loves the hat. He says that's fire. Plus the Fleet 1-2-0.
Yeah, Kenny, you missed the first. We dedicated the first 5 minutes recapping that game.
And then Bob says, when Middlestat and Arvidsson come back, who comes out? He's questioning Eyssimont.
No. Right now, if they were to come back at the end of this road trip, it's Tufte and Blumel. You're putting, you know what I mean? Like you're putting or VL, whoever's in for those injured players is who's coming out.
Listen, I got to tell people, when it comes to Riley Tufte, give it about 3 more weeks and he will be one of your favorite players on this team.
But I'm not discounting that.
I know you're not. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying people who want to sit here and throw their arms up in the air because it was Jeffrey Vielle and Riley Tufte who beat out John Beecher and all this other stuff. Like, no. Those are the guys on that fourth line that in 3 weeks you're going to absolutely love. All right.
Right.
Tufte is going to Tufte finds the net more than VL, but VL has the physicality more than Tufte. But they both can play a physical game. So they are going to be in and out of the lineup based on matchup.
Right.
So, and then if you can add in a 13th forward, whether it's Eyssimont who's coming off the bench or Tanner Jeannot, or I don't think Jeannot is coming off of that partnership with Minten. I think those two are cemented together right now.
No, and I also think the other thing that you have to keep in mind too is that with Tufte, if he's going to be in and out of the lineup, I'd rather him go back down to Providence and keep doing what he's doing in Providence and keep working the system instead of being in and out of the lineup. And then call him back up if someone's, you know what I mean? When and if they move on from someone at the trade deadline or someone gets injured or whatever. And again, I'm not opposed to why does Middlestat? I mean, I want Arvidsson back in this lineup, but I'm not sure Middlestat it gets the automatic put back.
Yeah, I don't know. And real quick, Bob, he says, I like Tufty. I'd like to see him get a higher look in the lineup. I wouldn't. Nope. Fourth line. That is where he goes. He is a great goal scorer for you down in Providence, but he does not have enough to translate it to a higher roster spot in the NHL. You can try it. I'm not going to say don't ever try it and see how it is. Throw him on that third line if you want to and see how he does next to Minton and Jeannot or whatever. Like, I'm not against it.
That's tough though, because then what do you do with Kastelik? Because
exactly
that third line is almost like you don't touch it. You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
It's almost like the Merlot line back in 2011. You can mess with any other line, but not the Merlot line.
Right, and that's just it. I don't want to mess with that line. So I'm not going to bump him into the top 6. He is not a top 6 player by any stretch. Tufty?
Yeah.
No, he's not that kind of player.
You don't think that he could get a shot on the second line if Arvidsson's healthy, playing with Zucker and Arvidsson?
No, he's not that type of player. He gets greasy goals in the front, but he's not consistent enough to be a second line forward for the National Hockey League. He's just not. And that's okay. Just don't, like, could you try it for a shift here or there and see and maybe catch lightning in a bottle? Yeah, but it's not going to be a long-term solution by any stretch. Also asking how the F is Blumel on the first power play when he has the puck. I'm scared. He gave 1 point to the Kings on that game. And then he says, Steves is 100% better than Blumel. Him and Arvidsson have been a great surprise to me.
I think a lot of people didn't want to be surprised by Arvidsson. I think a lot of people just wanted to hate that the Bruins brought him in because he beat out some of the kids that people want to play. Like, but let's be, Chris, we've talked about this, right? There are a lot of people that hated the Arvidsson, hated Jeannot. You know what I mean? Like, the people still hate Zadorov, still hate Elias Lindholm.
Some people want to blow Pavel Zacha off the roster to the moon just because they think he's blocking Matthew Poitras's spot at a 2C role. Like, some people legitimately believe that. Pavel Zacha should not be traded by this team.
No, and Sweeney has made it perfectly clear he's not moving on from him unless it's absolutely 100% necessary.
Well, not even that, but like, would you make him available? Yes, absolutely. You and I have talked about that ad nauseum. Everyone should be available for the right price. Right. You have to be willing to say yes to moving on for people. That being said, right now, my price is a minimum of 3 A+ assets for Pavel Zacha.
Right.
A first-round draft pick in this draft, unprotected, a top prospect, and an NHL roster player.
Right.
I'm not taking anything less than that for Pavel Zacha.
So I think a lot of people get caught up in the fact that it's not necessarily always just about goals.
Right.
It's everything.
Think about what Pavel Zacha can do for this team.
Zacha can score. He's a playmaker. He can play wing. He can play center. He can play up and down your lineup. He's a leader to the younger kids. He can play with Pastrnak. He can play with Arvidsson. He can play with Geeky. He can play with Lindholm. He can play pretty much anywhere. So unless you're going to blow up this roster like you did last year, you're not moving on from Pavel Zacha.
Yeah, Bob, the reason why Pavel Zacha is one of your most valuable trade assets is because of what he brings. And what he brings, once you get rid of that, you don't have that anymore either.
Right.
You need to make that price worth giving up everything that you're giving up in Pavel Zacha. That's like a lot of what Brandon Carlo brought to the table, the leadership, the stability, the defensive defenseman role, playing the dirty minutes, playing the penalty kill. I mean, Brandon Carlo was a guy that you could throw out there for a minute and a half of every single penalty kill unless they were back-to-back.
And Toronto hates him.
And granted, he's not having a good season this year, but you traded...
He's also injured now.
Right. You traded all of that away. Why? Because the price was worth it. You got a first-round draft pick and a player in Fraser Minton who was the quality of a first-round draft pick.
Yep.
Now, you might have to wait on that first-round draft pick because it's top 5 protected, and you didn't realistically make that trade thinking they would be a bottom 5 team the following season. But guess what? If you get deferred on that, it's unprotected. And if Toronto blows it up and they suck and they get a first-round pick or a top 5 pick this year, that 2028 pick might be just as bad because we've seen how these rebuilds go. So it'll at least be pushing top 15 with a lottery chance to move up, and it's unprotected at that point. So I'm going to be honest. I am not happy with Elias Lindholm contract. He is our 1C, and he brings 0 speed. Well, that I can dispute right now. He is the 4th fastest forward on your team when it tops out at speed, and he is 7th when it includes defensemen. So is he the fastest? No, but he's also not your slowest either. He's not very good at anything besides faceoffs. I had hopes he would bring his game back when he was with Calgary and the guy had 40 goals. I mean, he's looked a lot like that center when he's between Geeky and Pastrnak.
And he got injured. Because down the stretch last season, he was playing like that center. And then he got, because he was coming off the back injury. And then this year, he wasn't playing horrible to start the season. And then he got injured.
Yep. And then Bob says 100% agree. So I hope it didn't come off that I was disagreeing with Bob there. He doesn't want to trade Zaka unless the return is out of this world. That's why I said my starting point is those types of assets. And then second round pick.
Way,
yep.
When he scored those 40 goals, he was on a line with Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah. And he's on that. The closest he's going to get to that right now is Pastrnak and Geeky.
Right. And that line was cooking until he got hurt.
Yep. Second round pick and Lysell for Sherwood done. No. Nope. I like Kiefer Sherwood, but not that much. He's just not. You're basically saying you want to trade the potential of a top 6 forward and a second round draft pick, which to name a few, Mason Lohrei, Matthew Poitras, those are a couple of your more recent ones. Right. You want to give up those 2 assets for a guy who might be on your third line, which we already established you don't want to break up.
Right.
Like that's not the kind of move that this team is supposed to be making. You are looking for the Jordan Kyrie's. I wish like hell they needed help on the left side of the defense, because that's where you would sit there and say Pavel Mintyukov out of Anaheim, and they are trade partners. They have been before, but you need the help on the right. Desperately.
I wouldn't say desperately.
It's desperate.
I disagree with you.
How bad, in your opinion, has Henry Jokiharju been? How bad has Andrew Peeke been? Are they a 3 and a 2-3 in your right side?
I don't think Andrew Peeke has been horrible. I disagree 100% on Andrew Peeke. There are more nights that I don't hear his name, and that's a good thing. Jokiharju, nah.
Peeke has been fine. I wouldn't give him anything more than fine.
But he doesn't have to be better than fine when he's playing alongside Elias Lindholm.
Well, that's the thing is you need to be healthy for that to work. And right now they're just not.
Right.
And you can't count on health. You have to assume injuries are going to happen.
Like, just don't say it. because I will slap you.
Let's see. Dom says he was putting his grandson to bed and still listening and had to tell me that I have the Brandon Carlo trade wrong. What do I have wrong about it?
He still loves you.
I know. Well, he lives me.
Yeah, but I wasn't going to point out the
I know he's typing quick. Let's see. Bob says, I think the Bees calling up Steves and Blumel over Lysell tells me Lysell is done here. I don't think so. Dom, I will credit his piece again. Fantastic piece about the paths for both Brett Harrison and Fabian Lysell. Same draft, 2 rounds apart. One was a first-round pick. One was a third-round pick. I haven't heard one word of Bruins fans complain about Brett Harrison. And not nonstop. First-round pick, Fabian Lysell this, Fabian Lysell that. So it's just he's not there yet, and that's okay. The kid's, 21? What pick am I missing in the Carlo trade? Or we might have, did we send one? I think we sent like a 5th rounder or something.
We didn't send anything.
I didn't think so. Oh yeah, we got the 4th round pick this past year. Which let me see if I can. Dom probably remembers off the top of his head who they picked with that 4th round pick too. Yep, that's what I thought. It was Blenar. The 4th round pick where they picked Vasek Blenar. So yeah, my apologies, Dom. Yes, thank you for reminding us of that pick. So I couldn't remember if it was Blenar or Yemelanov, that kid. I think he was later though. Kenny says count it. 101 slaps. Okay. Let's be real. Lysell is never getting a chance under Sturm and Sweeney. I disagree.
I wouldn't say Sturm.
I disagree. Also, he got a chance last year. He did. And he got a chance coming out of camp this year and just didn't take it. So I think they'll continue to work with him every bit as much as they've worked with Brett Harrison. And like I said, go read Dom's piece about those two. They were drafted same year. And it just, their paths are maybe starting to overlap a little more. David asks, when Quinn Hughes becomes available, should Sweeney make a move? As I've been saying all along, it all depends on cost. Thanks, Dom. Have a good night.
Night again, Dom.
Sherwood is 2nd in the league in hits, and he can score 30 to 25 goals for you. Yeah, but he's more of what you already have. You have guys who can hit. You don't need to bring in a guy who hits more. You have that already. What you need is the high-end skill guys, and you need more guys that can spread the scoring around through your top 6. And Sherwood is just not that guy. Like, let me also check. Kiefer Sherwood is not going to bring enough that it's worth giving up that much for him. Now, if you were to tell me a lower price for him, sure, but not the price that you proposed. He's got 12 goals, 4 assists, 16 points in 23 games. Let me also check. I'm pretty sure he is in their middle 6 on the regular. They have some injuries as well, so yeah, he's on their 3rd line. So he is playing in your Jeannot spot. You want to trade for another Tanner Jeannot? I don't. Hughes signed for 2 years, $7.8 million. Yeah, David, as I said, it's all about the price because we already know that the 3 Hughes brothers want to play together. And so if you trade for Quinn Hughes without an extension in place, which he's not even eligible to sign for another year and a half, so you can't even talk to him about an extension. If he becomes available tomorrow, am I calling? Yes. as we say, that's Don Sweeney's job. If he's not doing it, he's not doing his job. But I'm not giving up what would be the equivalent of 4 or 5 major assets to bring in even Quinn Hughes for 2 years. I'm not setting the franchise back for 6 years for 2 years of Quinn Hughes. Not when you already have a plan that isn't built around him. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Now, if you can wait a year and a half and he becomes available in a year and a half and you can talk to him about an extension, yeah, now you can give up 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces for Quinn Hughes because you have an extension in place. So, Jeannot does not score 30 goals. Yeah. Kiefer Sherwood doesn't score 30 goals either. Kiefer Sherwood, 6, 0, 0, 1, 7, 10, 19, 12. Those are the 8 years of his goal scoring. He is Tanner Jeannot. Just hits a little bit more. Like, Kiefer Sherwood is not what you need right now. That's one where I wouldn't even pick up the phone. Anyway. You got anything else?
No.
I just realized what time it is and what time we're approaching. So Philip Forsberg would definitely be worth a phone call. I just don't know what it's going to take to pry him out of Nashville. And I don't know how much he really, is on the granted, it's Barry Trotz, so you might be able to fleece him. But
well, I'm looking at the comparison of Jeannot and Sherwood, and they're pretty on pace with each other with the exception of hits.
Yeah, he's a late bloomer, though. His stats is going up and Jeannot is going down. No, they're not. He's already 30 years old. How old is Jeannot?
Jeannot has played 318 games. Sherwood has played 288. We're talking a half a season difference in games.
Yeah, and how old is Tanner Jeannot? Do you have that? I can pull it up.
I don't have his age. But we're talking 51 goals to 55. 51 assists to 59.
Jeannot's 28 and Sherwood is 30. I'll take the younger player.
Shots on goal, it's only a 50 shot difference. I mean, they're really pretty much, you're swapping one out for the other.
Like, I understand the thought process behind it because it feels like Kiefer Sherwood has more to his game, but you can't fall for it because he's playing on a very, very overall weak Vancouver team, a Vancouver team that for the last 2 years has been a mess on and off the ice. Like, someone has to score, and even then, he's not even really scoring all that much.
Oh no, he is Vancouver. Why did I think he was Calgary?
That's Beecher.
My brain. Yeah,
the other one who can't score. Like, yes, he's got 12 goals this season, and he's on a great pace for that. But do you think he's more likely to keep up his scoring pace, or Morgan Geekie is more likely to get 55 goals this year? Between the two, I'm putting my money on Morgan Geekie. All right. And also, yeah, he had a great start to the season, but like he hasn't been scoring lately. It's a great start. 12 points, 12 goals. I think it was in 12 games or whatever. But ever since, he hasn't really done much.
I gotta agree with Ian. I mean, everyone in Bruins fandom, from regular reporters to beat writers to fans to podcasters to bloggers, every single person in Bruins Nation wants top 6 forwards, not bottom 6.
They want top 6 forwards. They said it themselves. The
Yeah.
reason they pivoted to the bottom 6 was because it was what was available in the offseason.
Right.
They've already acknowledged where they're weak. And so what is the approach that they're taking? I know, like, I see this all the time where people are looking at the Bruins going, I don't know what they are. I don't know what they are. We know exactly what they are.
They're full of piss and vinegar.
They are a physical team that is going to beat the living hell out of you. They will beat the piss out of you. They have a couple guys who can score, and their plan is to beat you down.
Yeah.
And beat you into submission.
Listen, even Mark Recchi says it. To be in a 7-game series, it's not all about finesse. It is 100% about that physicality and defense. And I would put the Bruins' physicality and defense up against anyone.
I would put it up against anyone in the league right now in a 7-game series, because in games 5, 6, and 7, you do not want to be looking up and all of a sudden seeing Tanner Jeannot barreling down at you at 22 miles an hour.
Nikita Zadorov, never mind Tanner Jeannot.
And he's coming at you faster.
Yeah. And bigger.
And bigger, faster. Kastelik is another one. You want him barreling down at you. Like, these guys, Kiefer Sherwood threw 400 something hits last year. You know where he didn't throw hits? In the playoffs. You know why? Because they didn't play in the playoffs.
Right. Well, neither did the Bruins.
I know, but yeah, would I want Kiefer Sherwood? Yeah, in a playoff series, I want him throwing 40 hits a game, sure. But I'm not trading for that when I already have everyone we just talked about.
Right.
You're fine. And
even
again,
even Corrali is going to lay out the hits.
He's at an age now where he knows, wait till the playoffs. That's where it's more important. So
going to throw some hits.
But even the Bruins have acknowledged they need the higher end talent. They need the top 6 addressed.
And it's not even really top 6. It's middle 6. Because they have their tops. They have their top 3.
They have their top 3, they have their bottom 3.
Right. It's like it's the second line and the fourth line, because the third line is set and the first line can be set. You know what I mean? So it's like, because we've already discussed, you're not breaking up Fraser Minton, Tanner Jeannot, and Mark Kastelik.
Yeah, you're not breaking them up until you have reason to. Right. Yeah, Bob says we have 9 Sherwoods already. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Like, again, I don't hate the player, and I understand where you're coming from. It's not a move that makes any sense for this team. David has a good question. Would you want number 6 in your lineup heading into the playoffs?
The way he's been playing since his scratch, game 1 and game 2, yes. The first 2 games he came back. If you have a healthy McAvoy, a healthy Lindholm, a healthy Zadorov, a healthy Peak with Lindholm. So if you can do McAvoy, Zadorov, Hampus Lindholm, and Andrew Peak, and then Mason Lohrei with, it depends. Is Jordan Harris available? Because if Jordan Harris is available, I might pick him over Mason Lohrei.
I was going to say, at best, like, would I want him in my lineup? Well, yeah, as long as I want him on the roster.
I want him on the roster.
As long as he's no higher than my third shot, my third left shot D.
He's definitely played better lower in the pairings than he has higher in the pairings. And we talked about this last week. When you take the pressure off of him and take the minutes away from him, you get a much cleaner Lohrei. And I like his game. I like his game when he doesn't have the minutes of a top pairing.
Yep. Right now, give him what he can handle, and that's what he's showing he can handle. And as long as that's the case, I'm fine with him in the lineup.
And you know what? We may have a different conversation about Mason Lohrei coming out of the Olympic break if he's playing better and he's in that middle pairing instead of still not the top, but in the middle pairing. He could be playing. I mean, you never know. I mean, being benched for 5 straight games and coming in and not having that responsibility of being your top defenseman because your two defensemen and Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm are out of the lineup, you get a different Mason Lohrei.
Yeah. And he's still learning. He's still learning the defensive role. He's still learning his defensive responsibilities, especially in a new system. So, like, he's going to take some adjustment. We're going to have a fresh conversation going into the playoffs. It's going to be a totally different team at that point.
Right.
Ian then says Bruins right now are built to bully in the playoffs. Now they need a goal popper. I'd say they have two.
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact that one of them is leading the league in goals right now.
Yeah.
I'd say you have at least one.
Yeah, I think, well, you cannot discount David Pastrnak. I'm sorry.
I'm not. I'm saying you have at least one.
You have two. And I'm okay with having 2 30, 40 goal scorers and then a bunch of 15 to 20. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to have an Alexander Ovechkin who's going to score 50 and then no one else. Like, I'd rather have the David Pastrnak scoring his 35, 40 goals, Morgan Geekie scoring 35, 40 goals, and then a bunch of 15 to 20s.
Yeah.
I'd be 100%.
Well, that's the thing is once you get to the playoffs, the defensive game that you play at your best and the goaltending that you have at its best is Vezina caliber.
Yeah.
So it's actually Conn Smythe caliber at its best. We've seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're getting anything close to that, you're playing anything close to resembling good quality defense, you only need a goal or two in a playoff game.
Right.
At most, you need one goal, but two would be nice.
You have to look at this team is the games that they're winning, they're not blowouts. They're very close. And the games that they're losing, with the exception of a couple, aren't blowouts. Right. They're one goal with an empty net. You know what I mean? They're 2 goals, sometimes an empty, you know what I mean? So you got to look at that. They're not getting blown out.
And the couple times that they've been blown out, like when you look at it, it's like, okay, something's not right here today. Right. It's not going to be a good game.
Right.
Let's try to minimize the damage and figure out where we went wrong and just move on to the next one.
Yep.
And you're not seeing, like last year, how many times did we see 3, 4, 5 goal games that they were losing and they would just build a 3-goal loss would lead to a 5-goal loss, would lead to a 7-goal loss. Like it just wasn't building. But
even last year, if they were down a goal, you were like, well, they're losing this game.
Yeah, they're done.
Now they're down a goal. You're like, all right, they can come back. It's still early.
You're sitting there going, all it takes is one shot, and they got plenty of guys who can make that shot.
But last year, there could be 35 minutes left in the game, and they're down a goal, and you're like, well, this is a loss.
Yeah. Ford F1, fuck this.
Yeah.
That's what it became. It didn't matter when it was. As soon as they went down by 1, you were just done.
Okay,
but
let's hit Ian's last season.
Last season, I suggested Peak and Lindholm as a pair and got ripped apart. I don't remember anybody ripping that apart last year.
It may not have been here, but part of it, I think, last year is because when Lindholm was playing, he was with Carlo. So, and by the time, and Lindholm didn't come back. So, we never got the opportunity to see Lindholm and Peak, number one. And number two, had Lindholm been healthy and Carlo had not been traded, that's still your pairing because those two complemented each other so well. You weren't breaking them up.
You weren't separating Lindholm, Carlo.
No,
there was no reason to.
Yeah, it's like separating Bergeron and Marchand.
Yeah, we don't talk about when that happened. Prediction for tomorrow's game.
3-2 Bruins win. I've been sitting on that one for a while. 3-2 Bruins win. And it's going to be an overtime win, and it's going to be Fraser Minton.
You think so?
I don't know. I just pulled it out of my ass. I'm going with 3-2, and I'm throwing in overtime Fraser Minton.
Do we know who's starting? Do we have an idea of who the projected starter is going to be? And I just realized that I froze.
Hold, please.
There we go. I'm back. I wouldn't be surprised. Bob says 4-3 New York if Korpisalo is in net. Real quick, while you're looking, David says, in my opinion, Bruins need to beat to make the playoffs are the Red Wings, Senators. The test teams to find out what roster is made of are the Lightning and the Panthers. I don't even know if the Panthers are an appropriate test right now, though. They're just so banged up.
Yeah, I would have to say I don't know who's going to start.
I would guess Korpisalo.
Yeah, with the back-to-back games, it depends on if you want Swayman for New York or Detroit. That's the problem. Do you want him for New York or do you want him for Detroit? Because he's not playing back-to-back games Friday and Saturday, especially with the matinee. And where he played 3 games on the road trip, Corpy only got 1 game. So I'm willing to bet that Korpisalo gets the start tomorrow.
But you could do Swayman tomorrow because you had the 2 days off. Then you give Corpy the Rangers game, the matinee.
But you could still give Corpy back-to-back games. He could get the Islanders and New York, and then Swayman still, because again, Swayman's played.
Yeah.
He played 2 out of the 3 games so far on the 4-game road trip.
And the Detroit game is the most important of the next 3.
Right.
So you want Swayman in on that one.
Right.
So
I mean, but again, he could get like you said, they did have the 2 days off. They traveled after the San Jose game. It was an early enough game that they traveled. So they got to New York at a decent hour. Yes, the time changed, but it was a 4:00 game in San Jose. So the game was over by 7:00 California time. They slept on the plane. They woke up refreshed. They practiced today at USB. They're in New York. So they're in New York. So it could be Swayman, day off, Corpy, Swayman. But you never know. I mean, I haven't quite figured out Marco Sturm and
I know, right?
And goalie Bob when it comes to the starting goaltenders.
I'm going to say 4-2 is the score for the one on the island.
Okay.
I think being back home in their right time zone, Boston gets their head out of their butt off the road trip. They're able to end it quite well. The Islanders are not – they're just not as it's tough because they're just not consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing is I feel like I can predict what we're going to get from Boston better than I can predict what we're going to get from the Islanders just because they're so Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know, 4-2, I guess. You know, hopefully, and they're going to desperately want to end this road trip with Bettman 500, 4 points out of 8. I think that'll be a good motivating factor for them. So, anyway, with that, we'll be previewing the next month after that. On Thanksgiving morning, we have an announcement coming about our Wednesday the 3rd show. We're going to have a guest on that day. So pay attention on Thanksgiving morning. We'll announce that.
And you know what's good about that too? Having a guest on that 3rd show.
On the show on the 3rd?
Yeah. And the best part about that is that I know there's time in there between the 2 games, but it's a home and home with Detroit.
Yeah, it's a home and home.
We have the home and home with Detroit on Saturday and Tuesday, and then we have the show on Wednesday with St. Louis coming to town on Thursday.
Yep, with the 2019 rematch coming in on
Yeah.
It's not the same, though.
It's not the same because Bennington's a head case and Montgomery is And by the way, how many Bruins fans actually still wish that Jim Montgomery was here? 0.
No, because now they love the next guy. it's a whole nother thing. Anyway, I think everybody's going to love the guest that we have for Wednesday the 3rd. So
Yes.
keep an eye out for that announcement.
Yep.
On the morning of Thanksgiving. It'll be a great thing to see that morning.
I'm just glad he told me before he told everyone else.
And I want to thank everyone for tuning in and all the comments. Ian says I should probably be doing something at work, so I'm off. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, Ian.
Since we won't see everyone until after Thanksgiving, hopefully everyone has a great Thanksgiving. There are your little hearts there for everybody. And yeah, as Ian said, go Bees.
Go Bees.